All right, everybody, we are live. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 14 of the Adaptive Podcast. Tonight, beginning your Jiu Jitsu journey, Mike Tyson beats the shit out of an annoying airline passenger. And can you defeat the Island Boys? We will find out tonight. We will find out tonight. The show gets started right after this.
I'm fucking crying, bro.
Yeah.
Gotta set the mood right. Just fucking right. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, bro.
Much better, guys.
Deep breath. Deep breath, everybody.
We got a
All
second
right.
chance. We got
I
a
wish
second
there
chance.
wasn't even
Wait.
on camera at all. Nothing was.
I mean, yeah, it got recorded, but
Oh,
I guess there was
God.
no audio.
That shit
Ray is
was-
saying we're not good now, though. Can you guys hear us yet?
What?
Can you hear us?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Dude, that
So anyway,
shit-
welcome to episode 14 of the Adaptive Podcast. Like we said in the
God.
intro, we're going to go over some beginning Jiu Jitsu journey stuff, like what do you need to get, some mindset things that you might need to adopt, what to expect. And yeah, it's going to be a great show tonight. We, of course, would not be possible without Radji Barrett Jiu Jitsu Academy. Check him out. He's located at 540 New Brunswick Avenue in Fords, RadjiBarrettJiu-Jitsu.com, and at Radji Barrett Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. So awesome. We can't wait for you guys to come check us out. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast again. Episode 14 long weeks that we've been doing this with all your support.
Holy shit.
Can you guys believe it?
That's nuts.
That's pretty cool.
It's been fun.
I mean, there's
Sound
been an
like 4
upgrade. If,
months.
for those of you who have been with us since episode 1, that's really awesome. And you can see we started off basically like with AirPods, and now we have actual mics and a little bit of a quasi studio here. So
And we fake you out for 4 minutes.
we,
What,
we
how-
hope
on how to get started.
we hope you guys the video in the beginning. We hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh my god.
Oh, man.
hey, we
Right
made it work.
intro.
We
Yeah.
made it work.
Yeah.
We made it work.
Yeah,
Shout out
right.
to Ray. Shout out to Mark Reyes. Thank you guys for joining. Shout out to AMAC.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for joining,
thank you.
guys.
Shout out. Shout out.
You'll get that shit on the screen.
So tonight we, for the first time, actually gave the podcast a title. It's Beginning Your Jiu Jitsu Journey, because we wanted to maybe more focus our episodes and give them titles so that they're easier to locate, because one of our goals for the podcast, and guys, please hop in with this, is, you know, to kind of supplement the community, help beginners, and maybe not just beginners, help everybody, but
we want to basically break down, like, you know, when you're starting your journey, like what you should, you know, your mindset should be, and like how you should approach it, and from different angles like that, you know.
Being a white
Yeah.
belt is hard, because when you walk in, you're doing something that is scary, it's different, especially if you haven't done other mixed martial arts. You know, it doesn't matter what you've done. If you haven't done any type of sports, if you have done any type of sports, going into jiu-jitsu is like a whole different world.
Well, there's different mindsets, different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
People, you know, like, just because you train jujitsu doesn't mean you're most athletic person, you know, and be good at it also doesn't mean you have to be super athletic or anything like that. You know what I mean? But like, you know, obviously it's different for everybody and how they approach it and how their reasons for getting into it. Even for me, like, I was already into martial arts and stuff like that, and I always liked not like fighting to like hurt somebody, but just knowing how to defend yourself. I think everybody should have that, you know, like mindset to at least not take things for granted. You should be able to discipline yourself enough to exercise in something that will defend yourself and be able to fight in case you need it. It gives you more confidence anyway, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
To walk around, not to just arrogantly think like, I'm just gonna use this to kick someone's ass. But no, it's almost like you feel confident enough to like de-escalate fights because you could just talk your way out of it, because you don't have to worry about like, 'cause sometimes people panic and they can't talk things out because they're afraid they're gonna get their ass kicked. When you have more confidence that you can hold yourself, you can, you know, in a conversation, maybe like, all right, you know, this guy's getting a little like crazy, you know, but you can like think a little more clearly because you're like, you feel more confident in yourself that you can handle yourself if it ever escalated to that point. But you can do a better job at de-escalating something, because I think like you feel more confident in yourself, you know what I mean? So you're more entitled to like,
on that same idea. I think because of that confidence that you grow, you can be more of yourself, because like you're not so shy of letting go and being who you are, because you're not scared of it. Sounds kind of chaotic, but you're not scared of consequences, because you're like, I am who I am, you know what I mean, and nobody's going to stop that. And sometimes that could lead you into like tough situations because you're standing for who you are, you know what I'm saying? But and it's not because you could all of a sudden, I'm going to jujitsu somebody. No, it's not because of that. It's just because you find more of who you are. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just, I don't know. That's something else though.
I think I've seen people come into jujitsu and become like, go from being like frail to all of a sudden now they're confident. And it's not necessarily that
it's more mental.
Yes, it's well, that's what I'm pointing out, the mental aspect of it. Like, so back to what we were pointing at. As a white belt, you know, there are things that are happening in the beginning of your journey that you feel alone with. I think at times, like, I'll give my own personal.
What do you mean by you feel alone?
Feel alone because there's no guidelines out there. Like, you can read up, you can go on Reddit. You
should absolutely do that. Like,
spend time looking at things, listening to a podcast like this about what we're about to talk about.
Anything, YouTube videos, anything. Listen, if you're gonna go into something, especially something as like deep as jiu-jitsu is, because it's very complex. There's levels to this. You know what I mean? So it's like you need to like for me in the beginning, man, I was always into like MMA. So I was into fighting and combat sports and stuff like that. And then I also did martial arts as well before I did jiu-jitsu. And what are you pointing out here?
I'm just putting the live comments up for you so that you can see them right there.
Cool. But my point being, like, you know, like you basically, like, for me, I already had an interest in this stuff, so it was easier for me to like look up videos and stuff like that. I imagine it would be different for somebody that was just like, you know, like they have a different hobbies and stuff like that, and all of a sudden, like, for whatever reason in their life, they feel inclined, like, you know, I just want to be able to defend myself, feel a little like vulnerable, whatever, yada yada yada, whatever it might be, the reason that brings them to jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? So their motivation might be different. But I would still recommend, like, if you're going to get into it and if you're going to be serious about it, I would watch videos on it all the time, constantly, because like it is a sport, or it is a martial art that takes a lot of dedication to and discipline, in the sense that it takes a long time to, like, you know, learn a lot about it.
So we that wasn't part of what we had written down, but why don't we start with this question? And I think it's a really good one. As far as videos to watch, you know, being a white belt, like, what would you suggest? Like, even like first month that you've started doing jiu-jitsu, what would you suggest? My perspective, if I was talking to somebody, I think I would tell them, don't try to overload yourself with things, because this isn't going to take 2 weeks to learn. Like, you could start watching leg locks tonight, and that's cool and all, but you got to be able to get to a position to try a leg lock. Like, you have to be able to understand the flow of a roll and the different transition points to get to places. Maybe you'll get lucky and find yourself there one day. But if you can't hold, and we obviously use that adage, you know, position over submission. But like, if I was speaking to a white belt and they were asking me, should I watch videos and whatnot, I would tell them, and I asked that question when I was there, I would tell them, yeah, watch matches. Like, watch, I think it's coming from here. Watch matches. Like, if you're going to do this, yeah, get flow grappling. Like, watch people do jiu-jitsu. That will start to code your brain. But don't go on YouTube and be like, you know, I'm going to learn every Kimura. Like, yeah, you watch those videos. It's cool, but don't take the idea or the thought process that you're going to be able to like absorb this like it's the Matrix. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
Of course.
so I will re-ask the question to you guys. If a white belt, brand new person, first month, asks the question, hey, what should I watch? Should I watch something? Should I read something? What would you say to them?
I would just say like, all right, well, I mean, you're this fresh in. I would just Google like YouTube, like search basic fundamental stuff in jiu-jitsu, like look up like different like techniques, the drills that you can do even to get your motion like similar to our warm-ups, right? Start looking up those videos. Start looking at all of it. You can look at all of it. If you're gonna maintain any of it, great. If not, like I know a lot of it's gonna go over their heads or whatever, but like if they need to see some of it to have some drive to be like, I want to be able to do that. So without that,
That's a
like
good point.
passion or drive to like get to that point, it's like, well, it doesn't matter. But you like obviously you need the fundamentals and everything, but you want to have some drive to be like, I want to get to that level or whatever. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's just like you don't even know what you're getting at.
At that early stage, I would still preface it with, don't think that you're going to figure this out like in a couple days. Like this is going to take a really long time.
I always point that out to everybody. Like
Yeah.
anybody is like, oh man, like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, you're not gonna for a long time. That's fine. Like just keep coming. The discipline of it is so rewarding, even though it's like, that's a thing. It's such a challenge. It's one of the most challenging things. And because you can conquer it by literally, and it just shows you can do that for most things, right? If you just stick with it and you're consistent with it and you don't give up and you just try to improve yourself better than what you were, I don't know, the last training session. That's all it really matters. You know what I mean? That's like the most humble way to approach it and to just trust in the system that you will get better if you just stick with it. But you got to also like, try to study and understand it too. You know, it's not just like I just show up,
right?
You know, it's you show up and you try to learn it and implement it, and yeah, it's going to take time.
What do you think, Len? First month, guys like, hey man, what do I do? What do I watch? What do I read? Like, what do you think I should be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, what you're looking at when you're not at the gym. Of course, Instagram and YouTube are going to be a great resource, but I just wouldn't go too crazy. Like you're going to see a lot of fancy flair stuff on there, and that's awesome. It's exciting to watch and, you know, to speculate about and things like that. But I would just focus on what you obviously see as an opportunity in your training. Like I can't baseball slide pass, like be very specific. Don't be like, oh, wow, this awesome, like, you know, rolling Kimura or this spider guard, you know, sweep to like whatever. Just don't look for anything super fancy. Look for the basics. And what I was trying to do here was add a link to the comments, and I'll get it there later so that you guys can easily find it. But there was a good book that I actually read while I was a white belt, and it's called Zen Jiu Jitsu Beyond Rolling, White to Blue Belt, and it was written by Oliver Stark. I'm going to pull up the screen share here in a second so that you guys can see it. But it's a short read. It's a very small book, but I liked it because it had some concepts in there that were kind of maybe not too obvious to me in the beginning. Things about spacing and negative spacing, even like, yeah, there are times when you want to create the space, but there's also times when you want to reduce the space.
You want to create the space when you're trying to escape and counter, and then you want to not create the space and suffocate the space when you're obviously pinning and you're trying to control somebody.
Well, even then, like
jiu-jitsu, you know,
there are times too when you want, like, if you need to pull off a certain sweep or something, like there is negative space there, like you want to actually reduce the space. Which is he goes into some of these concepts, right? Like you can't pull, for instance, like, you know, a half guard sweep with a really tight underhook and then like diving under.
Well, even when you're trying to go for
like
chokes, you can't like get on a lapel. You can't go too deep, right? You need to have some room. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's written in a really great way, and it's a small, short book. As you can see here, it's only, you know, $15 for the paperback or whatever. But I'm sure you can find it on EPUB even maybe, but.
So he's suggesting, Zen Jiu-Jitsu for you guys.
This is just one book that I read that I thought was great during this part of my journey.
And for that quick back and forth for somebody who's new, who's listening to this, the quick back and forth that they just had, that's, having years of mat time and experiencing those movements so that as they're talking about it, they can feel it. As a white belt, you can't do that yet. Like, you're not ready to communicate and understand what that positioning, what that space, how to really communicate. Maybe you're a great communicator, but you haven't learned this language yet. Spend that time learning the language. And honestly, and I think this is important, is as much as you watch until you're spending that time on the mat, like we've talked about in the past, what Spark says, 1 minute, every minute you spend there, every minute you're rolling or learning something, that's you growing towards an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 hour of jujitsu time is crazy. And it takes so long to get even like not awful. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 3 years in and I still feel like shit.
Different for everybody too, you know what I mean? But it's just also like injuries, your mat time, what you're doing on your mat time. If you're really like, a lot of people will just go in and they're just like, they'll be so fascinated by the abyss of jiu-jitsu as opposed to just dialing in and like really trying to like focus on like the increment. Like, you can't do it. You're not going to know to do it. Like, the subtleties of like where putting like a cup on your hand to like hold someone in position or something like that, or scooping, or pulling someone's elbow in when you're trying to break down their posture, or pulling on their head. Different like little tech tricks, you know what I mean? You don't start grasping until you're like high level blue belt to purple belt.
Yeah,
it takes a long time.
It really, it's would you agree that like no matter how much you prepare, like, you have to be broken? No matter how much time you spend trying to like, okay, I'm gonna be a better I'm gonna be better at one stripe or two stripe, or I'm working so hard, or I'm reading a book, or I'm watching videos. No matter what you do to try to prepare, you personally, in one way, shape, or another, uniquely to who you are, you need to be broken. Whether it's mentally, it's physically. Like, you have to have like a breaking point and then that's when you start to grow.
There's like a sense of humility, you know what I mean? It's like you have to. The humbleness is coming in, like realizing, like, well, shit, this isn't about everyone else. This is my own personal journey, and I don't need to compare myself to anybody else. And you just realize, like, yeah, like I'm gonna get my ass kicked nonstop, but you're gonna become a machine through the process without even realizing it. And if you just let the ego go and not like become competitive in the sense of, like, I gotta beat the shit out of everybody, you know what I mean? Like, you'll become a bit of a monster, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a
controlled one, you know?
Yeah, well, what's that Jordan Peterson thing? Behind everyone should be a monster, but a controlled one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to go through
what other, like, I think back when I was like, I don't know. All right, so like, as a white belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably want 2 to 3 gis.
Yeah, actually, that's where we're going. We're gonna go a little bit. Let's go a little bit more now of like gear.
I know I was going
like gear. Oh, you have the note up?
No, I just remembered.
Oh, you just remember. This guy's got a photograph of.
Yeah, and wait, before we get this started,
my bad.
Because one of the goals of Adaptive and of this podcast too is to become a resource for the community. We started, we made the decision that we were going to start to document some of these conversations into shared drives that we can share with you guys. So I actually added it into the comments, the Google Doc that we made for this particular conversation, which is just like a checklist. I called it the white belt checklist, and just a handful of things that are decent to know, to have, in your first month of jiu-jitsu. So you guys can see that in the comments, link to it. And during
Word.
while you're listening to, of course, any opinions that you have, add there, and if we didn't consider something, we'll throw it on there too. And shout out to Radji, by the way, said he was listening on his way to go get a 90-minute massage that was much needed,
What's happening?
which is awesome.
Fuck.
I only go for the 60 minutes, dude,
Man,
and I need to go 90.
Amazing.
I'll take 10. Shit.
I need to go for a
I'll
90.
take anything at this point.
a massage, man.
Fuck.
That sounds great.
Bro, the last time I went, she beat me the fuck up. I was sore the next day from the massage.
I'm not sure where Lenny went
Yeah,
to,
he went to a boxing gym.
Dude,
but
Yeah, but you know what? You hurt the next day,
Bro.
but then the day after that,
it was so good.
oh man,
It was so good.
you break up all that that tissue.
Yeah, so moving on.
All right, so I'm sorry, Ed, you were saying.
I don't know what the fuck you're saying. You go. No, you have all the answers.
Well, I have the note up. I have the outline. I didn't know you had that or not. So
I was talking about it anyway.
I know. All right.
Anyway,
So, but let's start more on like physically what you need, like things you need to purchase, things you should think about purchasing, weighing out whether it's something for you or not. So the first thing is if deciding whether you're going to, your jiu-jitsu journey is going to be gi, no gi. I think, in our school, I think professor would even if you desire to
mostly gi, you know what I mean?
right.
And if you're gonna train no gi, it's twice a week, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you have 2 days a week, which is great, or open mat on Sunday if you decide to choose to train no gi.
You can
But
do whatever you want.
obviously, we're mostly a gi gym, and I would say anybody that joins up mostly is gonna be doing gi,
Mhm.
and even no gi. And those people that are gonna do no gi are gonna know to just get no gi shorts and rash guards and whatever, and they're fine. But I would say, for beginners that are doing gi, I would get 2 gis to start. If you can afford it, 3 gis, because you want to have rotation. Because if you're going to really go past that and you're going to feel like you're, listen, right? Like you're like, I don't know. It depends on the personality too. If someone's too impatient to like get through a month of training, and if you're only doing like twice a month, like
And I'm going to ask that later on,
you
like
can't
how
have-
often you should come.
you can't have like high expectations of yourself in this sense realistically. Like jiu-jitsu is a slow burn. It takes years of pretty much it's a lifestyle, man. It's a commitment for if you really want to be great at jiu-jitsu, you're gonna have to do it for life. There's no like I'm just gonna learn all the moves. Yeah, you can technically know things or whatever, but unless you like do it and you consistently do it on a regular basis, you're not gonna be. I don't know.
So when you're starting, ultimately, you probably want to be holding at least 2 gis. Sticking with one and washing that over and over and over again.
That's why
it's
you want
just-
2 to 3.
You gotta have 2
2
to 3.
3.
Now-
Now you can pass that first month, then like, all right, I'm in this. You get past 6 months, you're like, all right, I'm really, and then you can just decide to get more gis and
And we'll
keep in the
talk.
rotation.
And we'll talk about it in a second as far as like washing and like what to do there. So
Yeah, every night,
we'll
the same night that
Well-
you trained.
we'll come back to that because there's some more things
There's
that
not much
more
to
some
talk
more
about.
things
That's-
that, no there's some more things that we had here to talk about it with it.
Like, what do you want?
Yeah, like how to clean it and whatnot. So
detergent, fabric softener. If you do that right after you train, hang on. If you do that right after you train every night, just those 2 simple ingredients, you're fine. Now, if you,
it's more along the lines of,
man,
like,
I left it in my.
please do it.
Yeah, please do it. If you left this shit in your book bag, oh god. I mean, good luck. You might have to use vinegar the next day. If it like sat in your book bag and was crumpled up, it's like,
Mhm.
oh man. Taking the next day, you're like, oh, it's still wet.
And it's not a bad idea.
Bacteria build up.
It's not a bad idea too to even use vinegar on every one of your gi washes. It just makes sense. You don't have to do a lot, just a little bit.
Yeah, you
I
have to. You got to find the balance because
That's if you
there's
need to use it. And that's usually if you fucked up and you didn't do it the same night. If you didn't do it the same night, if you don't hang dry it, like you need to hang dry
I'm
it
looking
too.
at more at a microscopic point of view, bro.
Are we
Nah,
moving
like-
on to care of the products?
I guess we have to go there because we're that far in
because
it now.
it's a discussion.
There was
We
more
can-
to it. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, all right,
So,
get
all
more
right.
to it.
All right, here's why there's more to it. If you're not really paying close attention to how you are taking care of your equipment, your gi, your rash guard, which that was going to come up next.
Wash your shit.
If you're not washing it to a certain spec of you, like for me, I have eczema. A lot of people have eczema, and what happens is the skin is basically attacking itself, and it cracks easier. So once it cracks, if there's any type of microbes on your garments, it can get into your skin, and now you're dealing with a worse rash, or you're dealing with some sort of other bacterial or viral infection, like ringworm, like staph. Both things that you have to think about when you're training. Also on the outline here.
You remember those memes when the pandemic first hit back in 2020? It was like everyone's freaking out, right? Obviously, oh my god, deadly disease.
Yeah,
and then like they would have like the memes were basically like jiu-jitsu people only really care about like washing like the ringworm and the staph infection. They didn't care about COVID. It was like those were their fears.
So that's the point I mean about like you don't need to like overpower your freaking gi with vinegar. Like that, the point of the vinegar isn't to overpower the smell. The point of the vinegar is to kill.
It kills the bacteria.
Right.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
it lowers the pH.
But my point is, if you wash that shit real quick, the bacteria will be killed out. That's what I'm saying. It's usually the bacteria just builds up when you leave it overnight and it's crumpled. You didn't hang dry it to let the bacteria just evaporate into the fucking air because it's that small.
So as somebody that's new,
material.
So as somebody that's new, because we got to focus on that perspective so that we're kind of like breaking it down for that person that hasn't been doing this for that long. Shower,
clean yourself and your fucking material that you wear on your body. That's it. It's simple, guys. I don't know. I don't know why we're experts on this.
Well, it's not even like that. It's not even like.
I mean,
fuck you, Ed. No.
a lot of years of experience, in the very least, we can offer an opinion.
It takes time to learn this shit. It's not like you learn it straight away.
No, that's why I'm just saying, like, clean your shit.
Are we cool with the list, like the general checklist that somebody might want when they start, before we start going into how we wash
What's
the
the
shit?
checklist?
Because
before you start, you want to do it, Len? Like,
no, but I mean,
it's just basically before you start, just know that you need to have a gi. If
probably two.
Yeah, probably two. You're gonna need
minimum two.
You're gonna need
minimum two. Definitely
two rash guards. A rash guard. What is a rash guard? A rash guard is to stop you from getting irritations from the sweat sitting on your skin. It's also
to be even more technical, it's a t-shirt it's not made out of cotton. It's generally made out of polyester.
See, guys, we don't even know what we're talking about.
Maybe
we don't.
Maybe a spandex polyester blend t-shirt or long sleeve shirt, but the purpose of it is it's less friction, that type of material, and it dries faster. It wicks the sweat away from your body. It dries quickly. Cotton is gross. Like, I mean, if you've ever rolled against somebody with a t-shirt, if that's all you have, that's fine. If you can't afford a rash guard, but if you can get a rash guard, it's better for you. It's better for your partners. It's just more comfortable too. It will dry quicker. The cotton, it gets bunched up. It's more friction, so you can actually get caught like more, right? It gets stuck on people's hands. It gets stuck in the gi, whatever it might be. And it's gross. It never dries. It just continues to get more and more soaked and saturated until it literally can't hold any more liquid.
So if hygiene.
If you're not wearing a rash guard and you're wearing like a shirt, which, like you said before, if you can't afford a rash guard,
listen, I say if you're
it's cool. But if you're wearing a shirt and let's say you're doing gi and you're wearing your jacket, first of all, you're gonna be hot as fuck because that shirt is gonna make the cotton is gonna like be that. But that also is what causes you to have skin problems. If you're sweating and that sweat is just sitting on you and it's sitting on your skin.
You're making it sound like you're not going to shower for fucking 10 days afterwards.
Yeah, but even if
No,
you're
like,
even
hang
if
on.
you're sitting
This is
there
the-
for an
Here's the
hour,
breakdown. No, you're fucking retarded right now.
no, I'm not.
hang
I
on.
am not.
No, hang on.
Whoa, hey.
This is a simple breakdown of this. All right, listen. All right, you ready? Okay.
Hey,
Wha-
now.
you're
I'm
you're a
looking at
woman.
this the wrong way.
If you're a woman, check. Yeah, wear a rash guard. Right. If you're a dude, you're hairy. Yeah, you don't want a long cane poly. Just wear a rash guard. Check. If you're, you don't have much hair, like whatever, you don't wear it. Fine. We know we got a couple guys in the gym. They look like they model in the sense that they like have shaved fucking chests, no hair, no hair, and they're fine. It's fine. It's fine because they go home and they shower. I don't know what you're talking about. The bacteria, it sits.
You're clearly not paying attention to what I'm saying. When, like, for me, my skin, I have an autoimmune disease, bro.
Yeah, I'm not.
My
saying for
skin is
you-
attacking itself. So if I am wearing a shirt and not a rash guard, I will be taken
Okay.
off the mats. Like, I won't be able to train because I'll have something going on, like staph will get into my skin, and now I'm
Because you have-
affecting my training
Okay,
partners.
okay.
I don't think a t-shirt's going to give you staph.
No, but when you're
I-
rolling and it's collecting your
I get what he's
sweat
saying.
and you're
He's
rolling with
basically-
other people, rubbing up against their face.
Well, listen, a rash guard doesn't collect any less sweat.
no,
Yeah,
It just dries faster.
it pushes it out away from the skin.
because it absorbs it.
Well, only
Sure.
because it dries faster.
And it
Yeah,
absorbs
It doesn't
And
know
absor-
what direction
exactly.
is away
No,
from
it's,
your
yeah,
skin.
it's not like
It's
we're
still-
sending this out. No, it
It's like-
absorbs
But
it and it dries.
It's still touching you though. So like you're
It gets
like,
it gets it
right,
off your skin.
obviously if you're even autoimmune
It still holds on to
efficiency.
the salt and the
It's like,
bacteria.
yes,
you know,
yes,
yes,
and you're more
so-
susceptible. Yeah, for you,
These are the
yeah,
things I'm talking about.
you wouldn't.
yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not important.
No, but my point is like if you're going with Mike Trottini, shout out to him. Fucking, it's like I always forget my rash guard.
Yeah.
So if he's going with you, obviously
I
if
just
you're
wanna
wearing a
show
rash guard, right, to
chest.
protect yourself, I suppose, and he's not wearing, it's not like you're like, hey man, it's like the whole thing, like it's COVID, man.
Yeah.
You gotta wear a rash
It's,
guard too.
it's for me. I'm wearing the rash
No,
guard for
man.
me.
For
It's not
you-
just for you, right? Viking Drums clearly indicates here nobody wants his hairy chest in their faces, which is fucking true.
Yo, shout out to Richie. He is a hairy motherfucker. He's
Yeah.
a little Chewbacca.
And Rich, thank you for that self-awareness.
What did I
do
say
not want
before,
your-
though?
I do not want
What did I
your
say
hairy chest.
before? You don't
Yeah.
want the long cane poly thing going on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, thank you, Richie, for understanding that. But my point is like Mike wouldn't have to put on a fucking rash guard for your safety. You have a rash guard on, you're fucking good, all right?
I like Amanda's
Oh, yeah, I'm
comment.
putting these comments up here for you. Too,
And-
Ed, so
it
that you can
clearly
see
has
them
good
up
hygiene
there.
standards, but some people do.
Oh well, yeah, sure. That's why we're fucking spitting these
I
opinions.
mean, yeah, that's
down.
why we're having the
Yeah.
conversation.
I'm just saying.
And for somebody who's again going back to that perspective, for somebody that's getting involved, these are conversations that we have. We have these conversations on the mats. We're like, yeah, I had to deal. Mardo got me tonight. He along came poly to me, and he got me inside control,
bro,
and I had to have his belly.
we're in positions where sweat's dripping in our eyeballs and our mouth
Oh,
and face. Like you're worried about fucking god, like skin on skin. Like what the fuck, dude? We're it's as intimate as it gets. All I'm saying is
how it
wash your shit to make it as clean as fucking possible. That's all.
and wash
It's no big deal.
and wash yourself to make yourself as clean as
Yeah,
possible.
all same thing. Same, but
Ag-
different. But
Again,
same.
that is something to think about though too, because people do jujitsu and they have jobs, so they have to go to work and they spend an entire
You don't
day
want to
at
lose a
work.
limb, folks.
And then they have, and then they spend an entire day at work. They spend an entire day at work, and then they come and they go to class. So they have, the entire days. Whatever. All right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Clearly, we hit a hot button. So another one here. Why don't we walk into the next hot button item when it comes to things you should have when you start? How about a mouth guard?
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I think the mouth guard is interesting. I've gone back and
Protects
forth.
your teeth.
It protects your teeth.
Your teeth.
Your teethuses.
Yeah.
You
should play mouth guard.
Or do you guys want to share these survey results or no?
Yeah, why not?
All right. So
It's funny.
yeah, not that long ago, we kind of put out a survey on Reddit, and we asked what items can you not train without? Like, what are your most reliable training items and products? And so we got kind of interesting. We got 110 responses, and of those,
Mouth guard was number 1.
I compiled them together.
Massage gun. I like massage gun. I have one.
I actually took out a few of the survey because if you remember, there were 1 or 2 responses that said drugs, crack cocaine, and black tar heroin. Which
I mean, wow, that's
Clearly, we were being trolled.
they were trolls.
but it's great that people
Like
were
took the time
yeah,
to
to like be like, yeah, that's funny. I'm gonna add to that. That's gonna be my vote.
It was pretty funny.
and the guy who's doing this Reddit post is going to make a graph for a podcast.
But so anyway, so the responses from most popular to least popular were mouth guards
The creatine
with
is
20
the worst.
responses, CBD products around.
Why don't we quickly go through what? Have you ever done a mouth guard?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth between wearing them. I mean, I've never. I might have bit my lip or tongue badly once or twice, but not.
Well,
It was hard to speak too, right?
now that I'm gonna bite my tongue off, I haven't worn a mouth guard once during jiu-jitsu, but I used to wear it obviously when I did Muay Thai kickboxing.
Yeah, because again,
Yeah.
in the face.
I mean, I think it's less important because we're not striking each other in the jaw. So it's really just to protect yourself against freak
preference.
accidents, and it's preference.
I don't think
It does make it a little harder to breathe with, which in my opinion, I mean, I don't think it's a horrible thing because it's like those restrictive masks. Maybe like
Who the
if
fuck is
it's
wearing
harder for you
that
to
during-
breathe,
I don't
you're
know.
gonna. I think it maybe I could be completely wrong on this and idiotic, but maybe it has something to do. You know, those restrictive
Yeah, I've seen those
masks where
I've read terrible
it's
articles
supposedly
about them
like-
too.
oh really, like it's no good.
Yeah, like it's
the
not
same
a good
thing
way.
as
It's not like you're
it's
like
not
a super
like you're
Saiyan.
training.
It's not like you're a super saiyan.
You're in
Like
the
the-
hyperbolic chamber.
the
You're gonna come
hyperbolic
out, you're
chamber.
like fucking 10 years advanced.
No, like the real reason, like a good reason for that is somebody training that is going to be doing things in a high altitude, like an Olympic person. But what I had read was that you're basically restricting your lung function, and
No
it's
shit.
not that you're like telling your lungs like
Be
you are-
stronger.
like be stronger so you could be stronger.
No,
Oh,
you're making it
You're just
weaker.
making you're not activating it.
you're just
enough.
depriving it of what it wants.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like you're
Yeah.
better off learning how to really learn how to breathe.
So
Like,
mouth
access
guards.
the entire diaphragm.
Yeah, so when you're in these pressured positions, you can
So,
actually access
so,
that.
Ed,
like you
so
said.
you've used them. You don't use them anymore just because of like breathing. Ed never tried them because he thinks it's not cool. And well, that's what we argued the
It's
other
just
day.
not really as necessary. I mean, I think it would like
You
we-
don't even use one. You're
So
arguing for
I-
them, and you're like, I use gum,
I
and
use
that's
gum.
my.
I use gum. I chew gum, and I
Eli
chew,
uses
and when I
gum.
chew gum, I chew.
It's not a mouth guard, you retard.
I know it's not a mouth guard, but it keeps me like so it's not protecting my teeth at all. But what I am doing is I'm usually
I'm
paying.
pretending.
I'm pretending. I'm having a good time.
What the fuck?
I'm basically paying attention to where my jaw is, and like my tongue doesn't spread out because I'm chewing gum and I don't want to bite my tongue.
You're doing some crazy exercises to make sure you never bite your tongue.
I'll say this:
Great.
I'm not
That's
the
your
first.
argument for people
I'm not the
wearing
first
mouth
person.
guard.
I'm
when
not
you're
the
not
first
wearing
person
a
who said this to me.
guard. Did you just hear it?
I never said not to wear
Hey,
my
bro, if it wasn't for that stick of gum,
No, you're like shitting on me. You're like, you don't like mouth guards, but you don't fucking use one. You
Oh my god! All right. Go. Let's go. Let's go.
Sorry.
Next one. CBD. Have
so-
you guys used some CBD to try to feel goodness?
I did on my knee.
How
Shout
did-
out to Mike
no,
Spark who helped me.
yeah, I've actually had some topical stuff. It's not so bad.
I tried the same stuff he had. It was really nice.
It worked.
Massage
on my knee.
gun. I bought
It's-
a massage gun. It works.
Yeah, it's
those
great
are
on my back.
those are incredible.
It
Those
doesn't
are,
like where I did it on my ankle. I was like, that fucking hurts.
you
on
got to
the
use the
bone.
use the right header.
Yeah,
Like use
I
the
know, I have
soft
like,
one.
I have
the
like
ball.
10 of them.
The
They
ball.
all fucking hurt, bro.
Yeah.
They do hurt. I think they're really awesome. The massage gun, even if you can buy a cheap one,
Dude, the
No,
cheap one is
go
I like
minimum
the,
$100.
I like
they're
the
just
cheap one.
louder. I swear to God, it's only the sound. Like, how much different can an oscillating
Dude,
motor be?
shout
It's
out-
only
Shout
the
out to
Theragons
Ray.
are just
He has that one.
quieter.
That I think it's called the Theragun. That thing is like 10 times better than my cheap one.
Mhm.
I have one that was like $80.
Well, does it feel better? It's just quieter.
It feels. I mean, it works, but the
It's
one
literally just the back and forth
I-
motion. Like,
I-
how much different can that be?
like it doesn't. Like you said
That's
before,
what I
like the
wonder.
massage. Like she beat you up, right? Like your
What?
muscle felt better because you were really like
well,
like
yeah,
the tissue was worked into.
even the cheap ones, you can turn up the intensity.
I
though.
turned mine all the way up, and it
It
still
was
doesn't,
not good enough.
not
Okay,
as good
okay,
as
I see.
the really expensive one.
I have a knockoff one, and I think that it's pretty good.
I think you're missing out.
It's pretty good.
I think you're gonna be
Um,
like, this one.
So a lot of
sucks.
people like
You go,
grip tape, soap and body wash. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious.
For Nancy, like fucking wash yourself after you train
So
with
is-
soap, not just water.
So is ball like when like somebody taking
That's
a
a
lacrosse,
lacrosse
ball,
ball.
rolling out the shoulder?
Yeah, those are really good.
The
If any
shake,
of you haven't heard of those before, like just look up.
What do they mean by shake? I'm curious about the shake one.
They meant protein shakes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, keep going on what you were gonna say about the ball.
the ball. For those of you who don't know, ball it's pretty much a lacrosse ball. It's a hard rubber ball
Yeah, like the
that's
ones
like
they use in
3
hockey,
inches
too.
in diameter, right? And
roller hockey.
It's
they're firm enough that you lay it on the floor or you press it up against the wall and you create pressure either with gravity if it's
You
on the
just use your
floor,
back
obviously,
and
or you
roll
use
with
your
it.
back. Because they get really acute. You can like hit
Yes.
really underneath your shoulder blade, right above your hip. Like my hip is pretty tight on the left side. I use the ball for that a lot. I love it for the shoulder blade.
dude. There's a
It's work because you got to still roll around it and you got to get it.
There's a
Get it, but
therapy.
It's awesome.
Like my physical therapist when I had the shoulder surgery like over a decade ago, he had me doing shoulder work with the ball. Oh, dude, like total difference maker. And every once in a while when my shoulders bother me, I do it now. Pain gone like
Mhm.
immediately, like right after using it. So that I like that one.
They are good.
else we
Protein
got?
shakes is another one. I really love protein shakes, and I think that the optimal time is really within a half hour to an hour of when you've expelled that
Right after.
muscle energy.
So
Tiger Balm are similar. I thought this was a funny response because I mean CBD, it doesn't tingle and burn you like Tiger Balm does, but I feel like it's the same. It's like a muscle
Kinda
topical.
so
It does a
makes
little
it, like,
bit, right?
cold. Definitely
Yeah.
makes it like really cold.
But Tiger Balm is intense, bro. Keep it away from your thighs because if you get on your balls or your vag, it's not going to be great experience.
not cool.
What the fuck you doing way up there anyway?
Bro,
For you. You've had
pulled
like
a groin
yeah, like,
or like
sore. Amanda would know this. Is it adductors? I think the inside is adductor.
I don't know what I don't know which one it is,
and
but
I've never
I have
heard those
had
areas.
She'll comment in a minute. here. I
I've put
know she
on
will.
I've put on
but
mineral ice and Tiger Balm and like by accident like
I have gotten the balls.
oh,
I have gotten the balls.
that and
sounds horrible.
It's horrible.
yeah.
Horrifying.
Because you go in the shower, you're like, do I use warm water or cold water? It's
It
like,
all
it's all bad.
I'm
Amanda
gonna
says yes. It's
die.
adductor with a D. Adductor.
I'm going to die.
A foam roller, yeah, it's good.
Foam roller's great. Foam roller's
Fucking
really good.
Soft as baby shit. No.
Knee support. I've tried wearing the thing, so knees is a good one for you to talk about. I've done the knee. It's really uncomfortable wearing something underneath the gi pants. Like if
It's
it was
uncomfortable wearing any
Well,
of
if
that
you need
shit,
it, you
but,
need it. I
you
think
need it, you need
know,
it,
like
yeah.
you don't. None of us here, luckily, have shot
bad.
knees, but there's plenty of grown men and women who have really horrible
really bad.
knee, and that needs to be.
There is a really
supported
nice
somehow.
one I've seen that they come out specifically for jujitsu where it like wraps a certain way around the knee. It's really nice. I don't know
Mhm.
the name of it, but you could find it pretty easily, probably.
So BCAAs, that's branched chain amino acids. It's an intra workout that people use that
Mm-mm.
it supports muscle growth and muscle endurance. I think I've done BCAAs not for jiu-jitsu. I've done
Who
them
the fuck
for
are these people?
yeah. I mean, some of these responses are funny. Collagen and creatine. All right, so the rest are like supplements. So cool.
Sorry. Anyway, moving on.
I think none of these are really for those who've been listening the whole time. None of them are.
Collagen is a good one though, because I just started taking collagen. My joints feel so much better. And
Yeah.
over a month, and he's over here like anything and everything that these people offered for us. He's like, nope.
I said it to one.
You just gotta be tough.
I didn't say any of that.
If you ain't first, you last. Drink
It's
about
not
it.
bad. It's 100. No, it's 110 responses. It's a decent sample
Shake and bake.
size.
I thought it was, yeah.
Mouth guards tend to be really popular. I guess the three of us don't wear one. I have
Fucking-
before.
Hey guys, I chew
I'm
gum.
adamantly against them.
Eddie hates them.
At least I'm
I
doing
fucking hate
something.
it. Like, you took the moral high ground on that one on me, buddy. You're right. You got me. Fucking- all right, backstory to this a little bit. We were talking about this a little bit on the phone. This guy's like, yeah, we're going to talk about that. You disagree. I'm like, what? Like, and your fucking argument is you chew gum.
Yo, all right, hold on.
I don't think anybody understood what you said.
Oh, man.
Because I didn't.
It was very
understand.
laughy.
That's fine.
So there's,
fine, 'cause-
I understood him. Maybe I did, but
Probably
there,
you did.
there was at least a push for a while there. I remember in the NBA that Kobe and a bunch of other famous players were wearing mouth guards because it was supposed to provide better alignment. Like your jaw being aligned is supposed to help your like back and like.
Oh, that's the same thing as Dennis selling you the night guard, bro. That's
Yeah.
like the bullshit. Like
They can jump higher.
it's like my toe hurts, and it's like you need to be wearing a mouthpiece.
You wear this mouth and you can fucking dunk this ball at a 360. What the fuck?
Dude, like
It's a performance mouthpiece, bro. You want more on your vertical or what?
I swear to God, if you're like a celebrity doctor or therapist, you could just come up with
lose
something
my
that nobody
shit.
said before,
Yeah.
and it will become the trend.
Well,
They're
it's
like the mouth guard aligns your spine, and everyone's like, "Oh shit!"
Gives you eternal life.
Wasn't there a crazy like
All of
woman?
a sudden, they're
that-
wearing decked out mouth guards.
God, what
Wasn't-
the fuck
wasn't
are we
there-
talking about?
Wasn't there a crazy woman that like started a company where she was saying that she had this special box where she could take your blood?
What's in the
And-
box?
What's in the box? Where you could take
It's a special
the
box.
blood from anybody and tell them like
Voodoo
what
shit
they
is
need
this?
to like be. Well, it was, dude. She was making millions of dollars. They were billions of dollars. She was publicly trading,
Billions.
getting ready to IPO. I think it was on Netflix. She was getting ready to IPO, and basically, like, it got blown up that the whole thing was fake.
Oh shit, we
But she-
plugging Netflix in?
she had a
Who are we talking
whole-
about? What show?
She had a whole like, the whole business was like booming, bro. Like,
What was the name of
Wild.
this? Can you look
I'll
that up
find
real
it. I'll
quick?
find it. Yeah, I'll find
What
it.
was the purpose? What was the purpose of
That anybody could just say anything and like
Oh,
make a
okay.
product.
it?
Yeah, your back is aligned because you're wearing a mouth guard.
What's yours?
All right, so while
chew
you
gum,
look
you don't need a mouth
that
guard
up, so
anymore.
now that we've covered basically the basics of what you need, and despite what our survey said, it's really 2 gis, 2 rash guards, maybe some tape, some sort of therapeutical, topical, or supplement, right? You might need a leave, you might need some Tiger Balm, whatever the pain relief
Depends
is for
on
you.
age.
Yeah, it depends on you. Whatever your favorite kind of recovery thing is, Epsom salt is great in a bath. I think the topicals are really good too. The massage guns are awesome. That's really all you're going to need, man. I like to bring a towel to the gym too because I like to dry myself before I put my other clothes back on. That's one thing that I have really noticed a lot, and it's simple. And I bring a small sports towel with me so I can dry off in the locker room. I don't use too much tape. I do when I have injuries of my fingers and my toes, but I don't pre-actively apply it. Maybe I should, but personally I don't.
So
And water. You're going to want water.
Watch a YouTube video and learn how to tie a belt. like within the first.
Oh no,
day.
wait, we were going through these though. Tying a belt's coming up.
He remembers though.
Ed remembers off the top of his head,
The outline of the,
I mean,
you know, you have it on your computer.
but he won't look at the note, the order.
I have nothing. But we can see another angle of
You could alt tab. You could alt tab it.
He's like, because you don't have it open. You don't have it
you
open.
don't have it open.
That's why you're showing me it's not there because you don't have it open. I mean,
But I thought this computer only had one page.
I'm showing you. I haven't done anything to it.
So all right, what I was talking about was it's not on Netflix. It's on HBO Max. The woman's name is Elizabeth Holmes. The documentary is on Theranos, and basically she convicted fraud. She has
in
been
jail.
she has now been found guilty. She's in jail as of I think
Bitch.
she was found guilty January 4th, guilty on all 4 counts of fraud.
Piece of human garbage.
guilty of being a bitch.
Trash.
Yeah, you guys should
Trash
definitely
man.
check this out because it is unbelievable. She it's nuts too. Like they show videos of her like absolutely psychologically crazy because she went from like videos of her like talking normal to trying to sound like some of the tech giants and like completely changed her voice. Like
She became
Weird.
the character she explained
Yeah.
herself to be.
Very weird.
right, yeah. So it's Theranos. Theranos was the name of the company. Look it up.
Doesn't always work out.
So now that we've went over the gear that you should have, we can briefly go over the care of that gear, or did we kind of brush over that enough?
Well, as Ed says, just wash it.
There's a couple things.
What,
I mean,
what other chemistry ingredients
all right,
do you
look,
propose
okay, I
besides
have,
vinegar
I have
here
great.
and
I have great.
yeah, let's
I have
take
great
turns.
things. So
I have some opinions.
Here's what I like to do. So I bought a specific bag that has a dry section and a wet section, so that when I wash my stuff, it keeps going in the same area where it's not collecting, any type of microbes from the gym. I'm not bringing anything home. Where I have
Because
a baby
because you have it separate.
because I have it separate
You
and
think the stuff's not being brought back home?
there's a liner inside of the bag so that
Keeps it separate.
it's completely
It says
separate.
no bacteria past this point.
That is a really good.
Sell
No, he's
salesman
like
of-
he's inspecting you on cross contamination, which is valid.
it's super valid. No,
well, no, because you're
and
like,
I
it
wa-
works.
What do you wash
I
the
do-
inside of your dirty bag?
I absolutely do. I take Lysol wipes and I go on the inside of the bag to try to clean it. I do that once a week. I keep so basically my clean stuff goes in one area of the bag, and the for some of you who have had gym bags like this, there's a zipper and then a liner that is meant to not have mesh, so it can't get through the other side of the bag. It's supposed to keep everything on the inside, so your shit's wet after your training. I come home, I wash that. It goes right in the wash. Okay, sometimes like sometimes on Fridays we like to have a beer or something like that, but as soon as I get home,
Only on Fridays.
right to the wash. I wash my stuff completely cold. I think my washer actually has a setting that's cold, whatever that means. Like it's not just cold; it's cold. And I do like to do a little bit of vinegar because I'm not trying to
every time.
I don't do it every time. I do it
Well-
I do it like every other on the same gi. So I don't use it.
We brushed
every
over
single
this
time.
before. Yeah, if you use too much, if it still smells like vinegar after the dryer, you use a little bit too much. So
Yeah.
just reduce that.
And then
a
you
little bit
start,
and
and
try
then
next time.
and then you start smelling
Like
like
a
a
tasty
sub.
sub?
Yeah, like a sub when you're rolling.
It's not great. it's better than the cat piss ghee or whatever the fuck
No,
you
it
smell
turns
like.
kind of into the. Well, yeah.
So then
No.
when
I'd
I'm
rather smell vinegar funk than like body
Absolutely.
funk, honestly.
so I wash my gi normal.
It's not great. I don't love it.
I wash my gi normal.
I prefer it.
I don't wash my gi and like this my spats being like those tight pants that you wear on the bottom, same objectivity of the rash guard. I wash all that stuff by itself. I don't add it in my other clothes or anything. I just wash that. And then when that wash finishes, I move my jacket, just the jacket. I let that hang dry and I also let I just started letting my rash guard dry without putting it in the dryer. Everything else goes in the dryer.
Mhm.
That's my washing routine.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with that. Like, that's a good routine for everyone listening. The rash guard can dry quickly on its own. The gi, like, if it's not pre-shrunk, it can shrink in the gi, especially if you wash it in warm water. I wash mine in cold water at first, but I do shrink them a little bit. So I like the warm water only for the more kind of disinfectant properties. And you can use hydrogen peroxide. There's another.
That's interesting.
I've
never heard that before.
Yeah, there's a dry product called borax, which is like it's like a sodium
Mhm.
bicarbonate
It's a powder.
thing. It's like a salt kind of product. It's a powder. It's
supposed to like eat away at the pretty much the bacteria.
it's more
No- no
disinfectant,
smell?
and it has
No
completely
smell.
odorless, and it ramps up the suds. Like, it makes it soapier. It makes the soap more effective, and so does salt. Even if you want to add like a couple tablespoons of kosher salt into your wash, it softens the water, which makes the soap more effective.
Which, when you wash something that has residue on it, and if you're not wearing a rash guard and you start sweating, you start mixing with that material, whatever's dried on your gi is now going to get on your skin and irritate you. That's another reason to wear a rash guard.
Yeah, always wear a rash guard, man.
I mean, the name
always
guarding from rashes.
it guards you from a rash. Do you want rashes?
You know,
I mean, I always wear one.
I think when, like, for someone like me, like, dude, I have to, like, every single time I roll, I have to think about the fact that, like, am I going to get a rash tonight?
So
That sucks that you have to. deal
but
with
that's
that, man.
because of
No, I get it. Yeah, but at least you're
mhm.
conscious of it. Some people don't even give a
But-
shit.
but
So highly debated question, right? Do you wash the belt or do you not wash the belt?
well, yeah, and that's funny that you said that too, because Amanda actually
That's why I
said
it.
that, and I'm bringing it up here. Yes, but before we get into that, I
fills in.
for more of the care of the gi, there's a couple other things too. Like, you want to remove the moisture as quick as possible. If you're not worried about drying your gi and shrinking it, you should throw it in the dryer. I do. I typically tend to buy an A3, even though I wear an A2, because I want my gi to have room to shrink, because I like to use a dryer. You can hang dry it, but make sure it has enough airflow. I live in a really small condo myself, so if I just hang it in the bathroom, it's not good enough. You don't want to leave the moisture hanging around. The moisture, the timeline of the moisture sitting in your gi is just longer opportunity for bacteria to grow in it. So you don't want it to be at room temperature and wet. That's like bacteria heaven, right? That's like, if you look at like food safety standards and shit like that, like, these are the conditions that bacteria grows in.
Could you spin? Could you put your
Phil
wash
said-
on?
Yeah, it's funny. Phil's like never wash the belt. You know what's funny?
He said it 3 times.
I don't really ever.
He really wants us.
I'll wash my belt, but I don't wash it often. I don't need to because
I don't need to wash it off.
because
It
and
depends
it's-
on how dry it is at the end of the night.
but it's always dry. I'll wash it like once a year just because I'm like I probably should
Ooh.
like, wash this. But
I
you
wash my belt
understand?
every time.
You understand? Half the time it comes off. It's not on. It's not getting soaked in with my.
I wash
wet
my
gi.
belt when it's
And then-
soaked.
I always separate it from my wet clothes when I'm putting it in my bag.
Eddie's so good at jujitsu, he doesn't sweat. No, you know what you probably do too. Do you wrap your belt every time you roll?
Start off, yeah.
No, once we
mean?
get to rolling and open mat,
If it comes off while
you're
we're
just
rolling,
like,
no.
you just throw it to the side, right?
If we're already rolling, like I usually try to like wrap my belt around me as I start around with someone. But if it comes off, I'm not putting it back on.
Yeah, I tie it every now and then at the beginning of a round.
So
Sometimes if
Fix
I'm like
it.
in the later rounds and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm too tired.
So
yeah, depending on the night.
for those white belts out there that are just starting, one of the reasons this is a big debate is because it's very old tradition that if you not washing your belt is collecting the dirt and the sweat, tears, and blood of your journey. So why would you wash it? Like, it doesn't make sense to wash that away.
Listen, if your belt
That is irrational superstition and
I agree. It doesn't make any sense.
unhygienic
as well.
But with
something.
with that said, right? Going with what I'm saying is, I purposely never. If I leave, that's when I'll wash it multiple times. If I left my belt with my gi soaking on the ride home or something, or if we, like, say on a Friday we go grab a beer or something, and all of a sudden I'm not home for 2 hours, and I get home, I'm like, oh shit, I get out.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta wash it now. But like I said, usually it's not on me the whole time because it comes undone a lot of times, right? And then, like, it's always dry. It's not collecting anything. Like he said, it's like all that moisture that evaporates, and if it has time to collect bacteria, it's not collecting bacteria if it's not wet at all. It's not getting passed on from the now you're just washing. I mean, listen, if you want to wash the belt because you want to feel extra clean, by all means do it. But it's also kind of like an unnecessary thing.
It's funny too because
I mean, it's
I'm
still
like,
picking up stuff from the mat, though.
yes, and that's what I was
No,
just
man,
about
and
to.
that's unavoidable.
I was
Like
just about to-
your belt is dirtier than you walked in the door with it.
I was just about to give Eddie some credit too.
Well, everything else gets washed
because he was questioning
That's not the
my
debate.
hygiene steps. You would think that with everything how I said that I wash my belt every single time. I don't.
I wasn't saying.
I do.
didn't think-
I do. I
know
I,
he
I don't.
does.
I don't know
Yeah.
if maybe it's because I wrap it like I do the package.
Yeah.
I don't have a separate compartment in my bag like Elijah was talking about. I would love to get a bag like that too, but I just do. Most of the time, I walk in with the gi like that too. You know, wrapped up in the belt.
Yeah, like
So
it's
it's
the
not like
book-
my
the old like when you see
like on a belt, books on a belt,
books on
like
a belt,
walking 15 miles in the snow with books on a belt.
Yeah.
But I don't like, even though it doesn't get that dirty, I don't know. It's not like my belt is soaking
but
wet
you're
at the
more
end of
of
every
like
night, but
a-
I just do it. I
So-
just wash it.
So does washing
And people are like, I mean, I don't know. When I look online, people complain about the gis wearing and the fabric
I was just about
integrity
to
and
ask
this and
that,
that.
yeah.
And it's, bro,
so when you
I don't really notice much.
when you dry,
Some of my
I
gis
think
have
that's what it
shrunk.
is, right?
Some of my gis have shrunk, but I tend to buy a larger size. I'm an A2. I think typically, like, out of the package, I wear an A2, but I like to buy A3s because I use the dryer every single time. And this was going back to my thing before, like, you want it to dry as quick as possible. So whether that means using the dryer or hanging it, but if you hang it, it has to have good airflow. Like, you need to have a fan nearby, or if your apartment or house has generally good airflow in that area, that's fine. I like the sunlight method too, because UV rays, they say, it naturally kills bacteria. It's hot, so it has a heat to it. It will dry your things quickly, which reduces the amount of time that bacteria has to grow. There's some debate whether the UV rays, and I guess it's factual, that it reduces the strength of your fibers over time, so it will weaken the fibers of the gi over time. For me, that's not really something I care too much about. If I had the opportunity to sun dry the gi, I would do it. You know, your gis get weakened, you're gonna have more than one gi. It's
So-
not that big of a deal.
So with the gi top, and the rash guards, do you feel that drying them helps like fade the material so it doesn't look as nice? I'm now
Well, the sun and the dryer will definitely
fade it.
fade it a little bit. Yeah, like
So-
you can tell. Like I've had black. You'll see it most with black. I've had a black gi, several black gis that eventually they get that grayish bluish tint to it, and I think it's because, one, they fade, and two, they start to get like they start to get fibrous, like little fibers break around it, which makes it look gray because it has a bunch of little fibers catching the light around the surface of it.
Right.
All right, so I think we covered pretty much the basis of just
Like
keeping
the
yourself
care.
clean, keeping
one
your gis-
final thing, because I own a, he's not on camera right now, but I own a 120-pound German Shepherd. One thing,
Where's Sammy?
one thing,
Sammy's in the studio tonight,
Samson,
everybody.
Samson, come here.
I love you. I love you.
Samson, come here.
Nah, he's. I think he's
He's
being
in
camera
tune,
shy. He
yeah.
normally would say I love you back, but
He knows we're on.
he knows we're in vivo.
Big dire wolf.
So he even because his just hair is freaking everywhere. So I
like,
do
you
I
know.
do have to lint roll my my gi, which is funny. I would like to say that
Or
for
someone's
for,
allergic.
for people out there that like you clean your gi and like you have all that lint like build up on your gi. If it's like a white gi, you have a lot of lint buildup. Like so you could either use a lint brush, or they also make like a scraper that they make for sweaters when it pills up, and you could just like rub that off, and it comes right off. It shaves it right off,
Mhm.
and now it makes your gi top look nice again. Like it looks cool.
Yeah,
But I always use
I have those for
Oh.
my house.
I always use that for because I own a dog, doesn't mean you have to own his hair too. You know what I'm saying?
And you don't know if someone else on the mat is allergic to
That's
a cat
another
or a
thing.
dog.
Yeah.
So it's important to. One time we had a training partner come to my mom's house in
Oh
Downbrook.
no,
We
he
had
was allergic to cats.
he was allergic to cats, and he didn't tell me. And that's actually where I had the cats hang out all the
He
time.
was half dead by the time he left.
He was half dead by the time we left.
God.
We actually made. He was like, I could stay and train for a couple more rounds. I'm like, I could barely see your eyeballs. You should leave because you can't drive if you can't see. So you go.
You remember
Go home.
Big Trouble with China?
Is
The
that
big
Jackie
puffy
Chan?
eyes.
No, that guy too. But you remember when the one guy was like, and he just started expanding, and they're like, they just kind of knew he was gonna blow up. That's kind of like
Yeah.
the person.
Yeah, you gotta go.
You gotta go, bro.
Bye.
You don't. You look like
You know,
you're
Phil.
twice the size you were.
By the way, Phil makes a point here. He says stinky belts need a washing. That does happen though. There are people who
That
don't wash their
happens.
belts and they're fucking
Yeah, but
stink,
think
bro.
about why that's happening. My point being,
No, it's
because they're not
because of the-
separating the belt from the gi, man. Like, listen, as you're
Well,
rolling,
and it's
your
this
belt's never gonna get
rhetoric.
that wet.
It gets wet,
and it's
bro.
this rhetoric that you shouldn't wash your belt because it's fucking
I'm gonna make you touch
superstitious.
my belt the next time it gets wet, bro. Some people's belts get soaked.
Wash it.
And right, if it's soaked,
If it
wash
does, then
No.
wash it.
Not if it's soaked. Just wash
Just
it.
wash
period.
it,
Yeah. No
yes.
preface.
I should
No.
just wash my own.
No suffix. Just wash it.
You don't need to.
But why? Why? Why not?
But why? Because like you're afraid of germs. You're afraid of germs.
I'm not afraid of germs, but it's like, is there no more room in the washer for the belt too? Why not just throw it in there? There's literally no reason not to do it.
Because it does make the material more flimsy and shit. And it's like I gotta get a new belt because I fucking worn it down so much because of the wash and dryer. You don't need
You
to.
need a new belt.
So
though?
something is stopping you from putting it in there. So what is stopping you? Is it superstition?
No, I just said why.
Why? I didn't hear it. I don't
I just
understand
said
it.
because I don't want to make the material so it's so flimsy and it already comes undone. As
What
it
about the
is.
one like the one I have now is still not flimsy enough to stay tied, and I've washed it several times, so it might be a question of quality here, belt quality.
You have a really nice belt, dude. You have the highest quality. Well, I guess what's considered the
Yes.
highest.
Thank you,
quality.
Professor Raji gave me the sexiest belt on the mat.
Me too, man. I really
So-
enjoy my belt.
Because it's shiny and chrome, man.
It's so chrome.
I love my belt.
Valhalla,
not-
here I come.
Mine's not mine. Mine wasn't chromy looking, but I freaking love mine, dude. Oh man, it's so nice. Nice shoulder roll.
Yeah. All right. So we went over some of the care, right? Wash your
No.
shit all the time. There's debates.
Wash yourself.
But more or less, like, just keep your shit clean. And some of the other discussion we want to go into this because it's not just about you and your preference for your gi. It's about the sanitation of it and your partners. Some people are more susceptible to skin conditions. Some of your training partners might have other things, right? They might not heal properly from certain cuts and whatnot. Keep your fingernails trim. I know I saw Richie say this comment before. He wants you to trim your fingernails. We all want you to trim your fingernails. Clip them. Keep them short. Staph lives under fingernails.
Yep. It also lives in your nostrils.
Yes, it does
It's
live in your
very
nostrils. and
prevalent in your
people pick their
nostrils.
noses,
Yes, and that
which lives under your fingernails. Then.
and it's really easy. It's really easy to then transmit that. If you're not washing your hands.
Yeah, and you don't give us staph. Don't give us shit. We don't want it. So that's part of being.
It's like, stop fucking talking about me, guys.
What? What do you mean?
Ed cuts his nails, guys. don't
Being
worry.
hygienic on the mats. So, I know that we went through that. It seems quickly, but we've been on for over an hour now. That was great.
I would like to say this real quick. Just because
we should go into some
just
of our
because-
favorite videos.
Guys, we're gonna have a
Just-
24 hour.
just no, I just want
Stay
to say this
clean.
because it is like fucking it's personal for me because it sucks. Like very self-conscious in having eczema. Like somebody sees it on your hand or they see it on your skin. Just know like you can't spread that. But you should be conscious of yourself when it comes to like if your skin doesn't look normal, if you don't have eczema, pay attention to that shit because if you have staph, you can easily give that to somebody else. If you have ringworm, you could easily give that to somebody
I
else.
think you know the difference between if you know you have an autoimmune, deficiency and something that doesn't normally. All of a sudden,
you
you're like,
would
"The
say
fuck
that,
is this?"
but it
Well,
happens all the time.
but here's
that
the
people
point
come
to
in with
that.
shit.
Okay,
I
well,
think
my
it's like
point
if
being is
you
be
have
more aware of your fucking body than at that point. That's
Right.
a different fucking question.
if you
Yeah.
have something new
Yeah.
that you'd never seen on your skin before, stay off the mats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't be a jerk.
Stay off the mats.
So what
go
Eli's
talk to a
really getting at
dermatologist.
is like give a shit about yourself because it affects others.
Right.
Your hygiene on the mat is, obviously it's beneficial to you, but really it's more about your training partners. Don't leave your gross shit on the mat. Clip your fingernails. Don't cut your partners with your fingernails that may or may not have staph underneath them. Some people have eczema. Some people might be diabetic, which is hard to, heal cuts from. You have a certain risks for there. And not just that, there's a slew of conditions that you might have. We all have HIPAA privacies. Nobody has to come up on the mat and be like, hey, I'm this and that. So please make sure you keep yourself hygienic and clean. It's
Good
just
hygiene.
It's good hygiene, right?
Just keep yourself clean as best as possible. That's
And
all.
our
You don't have to
faces
go
are
crazy.
really-
You don't have to go to the extreme where you're like, I need hazmat suits. Not saying that. Just keep yourself consistent and clean with your consistent training. That's it. Along with your gear. That's all.
Trim your gross toenails too, boo boos. That's from AMAC. We love you, AMAC.
Word.
Are we gonna skip this these three last things here?
What are the last things?
So just quickly,
etiquette?
like etiquette on the mats, and then
know how
just
to tie your
had-
belt.
just had the asking questions between Radji. Let's cover at least this one. I think this is a really
let's
important
finish it out. We don't have to do our videos this week if we don't have time to. It's
All right, so just quickly on the etiquette on the mats. I think this is an easy one. This is fast. In our school, we bow in and out of the mats. This is something that Radji likes us to do from implementation of his past histories, and some other gyms make you do that, right? Like they make you bow in, bow. I'm not sure, but at least in our gym, we do it.
standard.
I think he says it's
Not the only
it's
martial
not-
art that does it.
I don't,
No, I'm
I don't
sure
think
other
he says
martial
it's-
arts do it, but I
No.
don't think for jiu-jitsu it's
No.
different. I've trained in a
No.
couple gyms. It's not necessarily.
So it is
Okay.
it is something that we do at our gym. So do it. It's the right thing to do. Learn how to tie your belt. Watch a couple videos. There's different ways to tie your belt. If you have questions to that, you could ask somebody. They'll show you. Don't not tie your belt. Also, don't tie your belt like it's a bathrobe. That's not cool either.
Listen, don't be afraid to ask questions about anything. You know what's funny? I read a awesome Jordan Peterson quote today. It's like, don't be afraid to be a fool for a second because you asked a question, as opposed to the fool that didn't ask a question his whole life.
Right, then you remain a fool.
Yeah.
Right. And that I
You
think
remain a
paraphrased
fool
that,
if you
but
don't ask
that's
questions.
basically-
Yeah.
and clearly that's where you start to learn a lot about your etiquette on the mat, because like for example, I saw somebody tying their belt facing the wall,
Just
and I
be
walked
mindful.
them
So,
later on and I said, hey, why did you do that? And he goes, oh well, it's something I've learned along the lines. It shows honor to the students in the class that you're not tying your belt as you're staring towards the center of the gym. Tie your belt looking away because it's just showing reverence, like you're addressing yourself. Don't dress yourself in front of everyone else.
Mhm.
But to your guys' point, if you just ask questions to others, you can start to learn those little etiquette. It's like
And
all
it's gonna be different for every gym. So, but that's the thing.
right.
I think the most thing is to be open to the idea that like, oh,
Just find
like,
out what the culture is. Like, ask.
Yes.
Right?
So
Yeah.
leading,
Observe and
lead-
ask.
So leading to that, to last questions, because I really would like to have some fun with some of these videos. Leading to that, to the last question of this part of the outline is asking questions. Who do you ask? So as somebody who is just joining, you may have a lot of comfort in speaking with Radji or your professor of the gym that you're going to, because he's the one that is ultimately beginning your journey there. He's like, hey, welcome here, welcome this, welcome that. But when it comes down to like learning everything, don't look to him to ask all the little silly questions.
Well, you can
Find
but
yourself
some
people.
But at the same time, you can ask anybody
Yes.
that is your training partner any question. If they don't know it, then you just go to the next person.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask anybody a question, as long as they've been there before you training.
Right.
If you obviously, if you've been there a couple like weeks and you see some new guy come in, well, don't ask a question that's like, you know, whatever degree it is, like as far as complication, like to a new person that's never been there before, obviously, right? So you can ask anybody that's been training there before you any question that's going to further along, and don't be afraid, because you just ask one question, if they don't know it, you ask the next person.
And I think the reason I bring that question up also though is that
anything in life
like when it comes to your professors, you know, sometimes they may not have the same amount of time with you because they do have an entire class that they're dealing with and all these, an entire school in certain cases.
Yeah, you're not doing a private, right? So
Right.
obviously you're gonna, like, you pair up with someone and your questions should be mostly asked that person, unless there's another coach that's going around that you'd be like, hey, can, you know, like a higher belt that, you know, you see next to you, be like, hey, I'm sorry, like, how do you guys do this? You know, don't be afraid to ask. You
And
know
if
what I
you,
mean?
and if you guys are watching this and you want to ask us questions, whether it's on the mats or on
Ask
the
all your
show,
questions to
IG,
Eli.
you know, bring them here and we'll work them through together. We'll have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely. And ask us on the mats. I mean, I think at our gym, we have a pretty good culture. Like, just ask anyone. And most people are really going to be willing to give you an answer. So just don't be afraid. And I even think that especially in my case, if somebody who's a lower belt than I turns around and asks me a question, hey Len, you know, how do you do so and so? And I don't know, I'm just gonna turn around and learn right along with them. Be like, you know what, I don't really know, but
point.
you know what, I know who knows. And
Yep.
I'm gonna go find that. Let's find them
And
together
I've never-
and let's find out together.
And I've never asked that question before. I want to know too. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
a journey together. Like,
yeah.
you can learn something from somebody that's lower than you, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
man.
That's the thing. You should realize, like,
We all learn from each
anything-
other.
So you want to quickly go through some of our funny videos that we enjoyed this week? Probably do that pretty
Yeah,
fast,
so
right?
every week, you know, we hope to, I mean, throughout the week when we pre-produce this thing, which kind of just comes naturally because we're always talking about MMA world and videos and sharing funny stuff and things that are relevant to this world. And so we figured, why not each week just show you what our favorite videos were throughout the week. Some funny, some just amazing, right? So we can go along with that. And yeah, man, we got everything ready. And if you guys want to do this, we will call this our favorite videos for the week. We'll come up with a better name, but this week's videos. So what's the first one you guys want to do?
The Mike Tyson one is the one that interests me the most.
Yeah. All right. So
All right, this is pretty easy, right, guys? You don't get drunk and then harass a former heavyweight, one of the greatest of all times heavyweight.
Like if there was
Boxers.
if a gun was no let me change that. If a grenade had a personality, would you sit there and be like, look
Let me
No.
just pull on the pin a little
let me
bit.
just play with the pin. I mean, oh
Hey! What'd you think was gonna happen?
Could you like
smacked
you're-
up.
Look at his
dude.
face.
that? Oh, you're so sad.
So this idiot.
He's suing.
Oh, you're so sad because Mike Tyson punched.
Apparently
you.
now he's suing Mike Tyson, but I mean, this idiot.
This guy should be made an example. You can't just be
Absolutely.
an asshole
Absolutely.
to somebody who has money because you're in hopes that they'll do something like this, and then you could go,
I could sue him because he put his hand on me.
Even the
Like,
camera guy's like, what an idiot. Like, thank God for this guy for recording.
Trying to give us some shrooms.
trying to give him some
He's trying to give him shrooms now?
Yeah, so this guy's tripping. He's drunk and tripping on mushrooms.
They're just harassing him.
Money.
They're peasants.
Yeah.
Who's he
whatever the
calling
fuck that
peasants?
means.
And the guy's gonna stop him by like quickly telling him, hey.
Damn. Yeah, he racked
Like,
him
that
on
was-
that one.
All right, so I agree, Eddie. I absolutely think, I really hope that he is made an example of, because that is just you do not. How do you mess with like a lethal weapon like that? That is
Not even that. It's
you deserve to get punched.
like I think too many
Poking the
people
bear.
can fucking sue for like provoked reasons.
Yeah, he might
It's
have
like,
even wanted to
What's-
provoke him.
This is
that
one
way.
of those fucking, you know, like the guy like on the line in a football game, like it's a dude in the face, the other guy retaliates. It's always the retaliation, you know what I mean? It's like, well, what the fuck, man? What about this douchebag? Like those
Right.
people need
It's
to be
never
punished.
like the foul. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's always the fucking guy that retaliates. It's like, well,
What's
he
next?
wouldn't retaliate if fucking there was actual.
Well,
Goddamn
next,
justice.
as promised in the intro here, can you guys take on the Island Boys? I don't know if you can.
Wait, go back. I want to. Can we hear the sound? Please. Hang on. Replay this. This is amazing. Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
an island boy.
Yeah.
and that's just him practicing.
Because I'm trying to.
That's just him training.
That's just him training.
That's just some training, bro.
Upcut. Yeah. I short leg kick real quick.
Sorry, I know it's getting all crazy.
Yeah. Stop. You already knew this.
Yeah. That's just him training.
100% live in Florida.
Can you guys
my
take
God.
on the Island Boys? Look at this, bro.
Upcut.
Uppercut.
It's fucking scary, bro.
Wait. Watch
I
his leg
short leg
kick.
kick real quick.
Watch the leg kick.
The leg kick.
Oh!
He looked like a 12-year-old throwing a
Yeah.
kick. I
That's
re-
just him training.
That's him training.
Yo.
I really.
Let us know in the comments. Can you guys take on the Island Boys?
I really hope that
Um,
they challenge the Paul brothers, because they will get murdered.
What are you talking about?
I really hope.
Can you take on the Island
never do that.
Boys?
Dude, like
Why
half
would
his
they?
size.
Yeah, they're puny.
All right, this kid's definitely
You
gonna
are
become
my
a heroin
island
addict.
boy. This is how the Island Boys started.
This is how junkies.
That's mean. Hopefully he won't have a horrible drug addiction like that, but I mean, he's off to a great start.
Look at that. He gave up the devil. He gave the devil horns, bro.
Yeah.
He's on a highway to hell.
From Dillian White.
Oh. Tyson Fury, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, he's an exciting heavyweight. Like, when's the last time that we've had an exciting heavyweight like this?
This really was quite the.
Like, that's like
the
a
knockout,
legit
bro.
good boxer. Not
What a
like a
knockout.
guy that's knockout power. I mean, a legit
Yo,
boxer.
right after
That's exciting.
right after this fight, Tyson Fury brought Francis Ngannou into the ring and basically stated
Heavyweight champ. of
they're gonna
UFC.
fight.
For anybody who doesn't know, get your shit together.
they want to have a boxing match, not an MMA fight, a boxing match.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said he doesn't care if they're in the 3-ounce gloves, 6-ounce gloves, 12-ounce gloves, MMA gloves.
And he said we're gonna see who
In a
the baddest
cage.
motherfucker is
Yeah,
on the
as
planet.
long as it's boxing, I suppose.
And guys, if they do fight and Tyson Fury
Tyson
beats
Fury.
Francis Ngannou,
Yeah. It doesn't really
Tyson
hurt.
Fury is now the world's champion against an alien race, as we've discussed on previous episodes. He would have to be.
That doesn't count though, because
He beats Francis. We talked about if we
but
had
he's
an
not
alien
beating-
race.
Yeah, but he's not beating him. But in that alien race, it's like he can do whatever he wants to do to win the fight. He's not able to do that in this fight, and he's fighting a guy that's been boxing for how long? I don't care what an alien he is, bro.
See, this is why I got upset. I know you don't feel this way, but this is why I get upset that boxing isn't given the respect it deserves.
What do you
Boxing is
mean?
such a beautiful art.
Of course it does.
It's
But,
just
like,
not. No, it doesn't. It is
it doesn't.
not.
It doesn't in a real fight. Of course not, because there's so many other aspects to a real fight. But if you're talking a sport or whatever, or you're taking that aspect in MMA and you talk about a real boxer or who's the best boxer in MMA, which some of these guys claim, it doesn't fucking matter. They give respect where respect's due to a real actual boxer, what it takes to actually master. Think about it. It's like it's kind of interesting because I want to see where this goes with Jake Paul, because he's an interesting story. I was watching the whole HBO.
He really is interesting.
Thing on it because he's actually pretty fucking good. And he started in his late 20s.
Right.
It's like guys that are like, he's never gonna be like a world champion. But the fact that he's making splash, he's knocking people out. Granted, they're just MMA guys.
Yeah, like no,
Like, he can box.
He's not just an MMA guy. It's somebody
he can actually
that
box.
is
Now
been
put him
in the ring.
Like, but give him like, dude, how many guys have to go through like actual fights? These are tune-up fights for him until he's taking it serious. Maybe in his early to mid 30s, he starts boxing like real boxers and he does okay. You're still going to fucking tune in and you're still going to give him credit because you're like, holy shit, this is a guy that picked up boxing in his late 20s when all the greatest of all time and all the fucking best boxers have been doing it since their early teens or if not earlier.
Yeah.
That's
like
it.
10
Like,
years
it's
old,
like
9 years old.
just like all these phenoms. It's usually guys that have been doing it pretty much since they were a kid or teenager. It's really fucking hard. So I give him
Tyson
respect
Fury and Francis Ngannou fight with 3-ounce gloves, but they
Oh, yeah.
box.
at 3-ounce gloves, yeah, Nagano's got a way bigger chance. But like his head movement, if it's just boxing, the dude, your footwork's gonna be different. I'm sorry, but like his footwork is gonna be superior to Nagano because Nagano is gonna be fighting like an MMA. He's gonna be moving his footwork is gonna be like more of an MMA guy's footwork, which is more balanced for like wrestling defense and potentially shooting as opposed to an actual boxer.
It makes me feel like, have you ever seen like a Major
sorry.
League Baseball player face a women's fast pitch softball player?
Mhm.
Have you ever seen that before? It's fascinating because usually the women softball players, they're really giving a tough time to those, like not even making contact with a major league hitter.
Mhm.
Because it's just like you said. I mean, the training starts so early, it turns into muscle memory, and it's just instinctual
Well,
at that
think about
point.
it, man. Think about it. Wouldn't you expect an MMA guy, no matter what, goes into the boxing world and a guy that's his profession, and like that guy is amazing at MMA, the best of the best. We already saw it with Conor
and Floyd.
Conor had a little bit of a chance in the first two. Maybe I'm being generous with the third round, but first 2 rounds he looked like he was somewhat competitive. Then Floyd toyed with him for like 8 more rounds, just basically be like, let's just give him a show, and then shut it down when he needed it to. Like he didn't need to be like, we're going all 12 rounds. He wanted a show, and he did it in such a fucking way that he made it seem like it was competitive when it really wasn't from the beginning. And he just made it into like, all right, this is my show. We're going to drag it. And I'm also going to show everybody that if you come into my world, I'm going to beat you every time. Just like you would expect if Floyd Mayweather went into an octagon and put on 3-ounce gloves, 6-ounce gloves to fight in an actual mixed martial arts fight, that Conor is going to fucking destroy him.
Yeah.
In 30 to 60 seconds.
Conor really did a pretty decent job. I mean, Floyd probably wasn't. Obviously, Floyd wasn't in his prime, and he wasn't probably pushing himself to the level he would with like like when he fought Canelo the first time.
You could see in his punches, you could see in the footwork. Even though Conor's
he didn't have he wasn't going to have the punching power either.
But you could see it. You could like clearly see like he's got like fucking like footwork like a karate stance somewhat, and he's like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have the same like when your feet are planted and how light like Floyd is the move, and like, you know what I mean? Like it was completely different. He was outclassed.
Yeah.
I think he was outclassed from the start because it was a chess game that Floyd was like 5 steps ahead from the start, and then it actually went further as the fight went on.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on Conor, bro. That's not a knock on Conor.
Imagine.
It's just Conor literally put more time into like way different areas than mastering one specific art.
Imagine like things change so much over like the years. Like you would have never thought that there'd be inter martial art fights, like boxers fighting MMA guys, and like
It's been happening.
but-
It's been happening even in MMA. You gotta understand, it's become more broad as far as like what guys that go into these leagues now, they just know so much
So-
more. But like, dude, a lot of these guys were like 1 or 2 dimensional up until like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Because maybe like a guy knew like jujitsu and Muay Thai, but he didn't know wrestling. He didn't know like wrestling.
So what
defense.
happens? What happens? Like, are we as humans going to like evolve and understand how to take on more capacity? And in like 40, 50 years from now, you're seeing somebody doing like MMA, but then they'll go to just boxing or just Muay Thai or just kickboxing and like go fight in another sport to try to win that championship too.
I mean, it's already happened.
I think you'll see those freak
Michael
athletes
Jordan
who
did
can,
that.
who can do the differences. But I
he
think that
sucked at
overall,
baseball.
Did he though?
He was awful.
Didn't he go into
he
baseball?
he
when was,
played
like, 30
baseball
years old?
because he was on a
And he's-
suspension.
Correct. Because David Stern said
Yeah.
your father was murdered because of your gambling issues. You can't let this get out. You need to go play baseball and disappear for a little bit.
Right. It was a political.
It was a political
It was a
move,
PR
yeah.
move that he went. and played
Anybody
baseball
who
instead.
does a little bit of digging, like if you look up the Wikipedia answer, it's going to be, well, he really wanted to play baseball. No, that's not what happened.
No.
If you really look into it and you understand
he
what's
wasn't
going on,
good enough to play in the major leagues.
No,
Like,
he played for the White Sox in the minor leagues, and he was awful.
in the minor leagues. Yeah.
He was awful.
Shit.
Jimmy.
Gee, man.
Well, show us this dope ass judo video.
All right, so we got just a couple more videos before we wrap up. This might even be the last one.
I think it is, right?
So we want to know if anybody out there knows anything about judo, like who gets the points here?
No.
Because this is a pretty cool video.
I don't think anybody gets the ippon.
Who gets the points here? We don't know.
All right, here we go, guys. It's gonna hit play, and they're gonna do, a little spinny, and I personally, obviously, I know for a fact there's no points in this
Because neither of them ended on their shoulders, right? Is that why?
the impressive
That's
thing
a
about
pin.
this video is the fact that they're like 2 fucking cats,
The blue guy, yeah.
and they land.
They
on their
look like
fucking
cats.
feet.
Judo
Spinny,
is
spinny,
so
and
One more time.
you imagine they found 2 guys that are so good at judo that they kept doing like
Nobody
cats.
could fall.
And it was like, holy shit, it's the best match ever. It's gone on for 25 minutes. We've never seen a judo
they
match.
just
like on
pass out.
Wait.
They both pass out and go to sleep.
That'd be pretty funny.
No, but the way it ends is they do a spinny, and they misjudge the spinny, and they both land on their backs, and then they get up, and then it's like fucking refs, and no one's like, I've never seen this before.
Mhm.
What do we do?
Judo's crazy.
That was pretty crazy.
That was for you, Morrow.
Yeah.
Well, I think we had a pretty good show tonight.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was mostly centric around beginning your jiu-jitsu journey. We hope that any beginner white belts out there found this helpful, and that moving forward, you will share it with your new friends who begin their jiu-jitsu journeys, that you convince to do so. We have supplemented this podcast with a Google Doc that's public. We included the link in the comments. You can go there and see everything that we kind of came up with as far as what might be needed for gear, how to take care of that gear, and some other etiquette concerns when you come to the mat for the first time. Hey, we got Mina. Mina says, great show. Thank you, Mina.
What's up, brother?
We love to have you here.
Man.
Thanks
My
for
man.
checking us
Thanks,
out.
man.
That's fucking awesome.
Make sure everybody likes and subscribes, and also leave a static comment, not just here in the live section, but leave an actual comment underneath the video window there. That helps out the YouTube algorithm, will help them share out our content to other people who like similar stuff. You can check us out at Adaptive Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram and at adaptivejujitsu.com. We have awesome rash guards, patches available for you, and we're working on new designs for new products coming up for you very shortly. And like every single week, our Jiu-Jitsu podcast is brought to you by Radji Barrett Jiu-Jitsu Academy at 540 New Brunswick Avenue in Fords. It would not be possible without Radji's organization there.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to all our shit. Buy our shit.
Por favor.
Yeah.
Please, your love and support helps us do this podcast every single week. We have built this studio because of your support. We are inspired by it. We put together our content and our discussions based on you. We love having you live comment, email us, like us, subscribe us, DM us, whatever it might be. Get at us. Thanks again for joining us. We love you guys so much. Tonight has been episode 14, beginning your jiu-jitsu journey. We will see you guys next week.
See you in the sugar
Adapt
aisle.
or get tapped.
All right. You guys know where I'm going.
Poop it out. Yeah, should be here.